Welcome to our session on Webworks today. For the benefit of the video, I'm Liz Myers, as you know, and I have the great pleasure of introducing my co-presenter here, Luca Sale from BlackBerry. He is evangelist extraordinaire and also a very good JavaScript programmer. He's specialized in Webworks and he's taught me most everything I know, so you're in really good hands. Now I'm going to stay seated here for a moment because with my other hand I'm making sure the projection stays okay. So please bear with me here. We're going to have a brief introduction. Of course, most of the session's about hands-on and how fun it is, but we're in a very special moment right now with BlackBerry in that it's rare that you have a new operating system, a new framework, and new devices all at the same time. And so in just a moment, I want Luca here to give you a quick demo of what the devices can do with Hub and Flow. Yeah. So,
problem solver.
Problem solver in the front row. Meanwhile, I want to keep going because our 90 minutes are really packed with action today. So we're going to get your environment set up to do this. We're going to show you a little bit of Webworks and get you into the workflow. And then we're going to hopefully get everybody's project on an actual new BB10 device, and away we go. So we're going to keep the remarks a little to a minimum here. What I'd like to do is just show you the agenda so you know what's coming up and we can kind of plan for that. So I want to tell you before we are heads down coding, what is Webworks and what are the advantages of using it given we're here at a Titanium conference, and what is the workflow like. And then we're going to spend about 20 minutes getting set up. That's all it takes. First thing we're going to have to do is get some signing keys to get the app on a device. And I want you to install Ripple. Ripple's wonderful for debugging and for emulating and speed of development. It's wonderful. And we're going to install the SDK, of course. And then the majority of our time is really about the workflow. And Luca has put together a fun sample app where you get into some of the more interesting APIs and can really understand what's special about BB10. So, Luca, are you ready to give us a little bit of a demo of what the new Hub and Flow and cards are all about?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just need to quickly switch. I would normally handle the microphone, but unfortunately I have to handle the device, so for a second I'll have Liz be my microphone stand. Here you go. Perfect. Okay, so I'm not sure how many of you have seen BlackBerry 10 before. Hands up if you have seen any video of BlackBerry 10. Probably a few of you already spoke to us, and we have already done a quick demo for you. But for anyone else who hasn't seen BlackBerry 10, I want to show you what BlackBerry 10 is all about. So, have you used a BlackBerry device before? Hands up. Okay. I will ask you to kindly forget all you know about the old BlackBerry device and kind of focus on what the new BlackBerry device is about, because it's been redesigned completely. The platform has been changed. There is a new architecture, there is a new hardware, new operating system, everything is new. We have kept the DNA of BlackBerry because BlackBerry was about getting things done, and that's still inside the new BlackBerry 10 platform, but you will see how different it is from the old one. So first of all, we've got these lock screen here. In order to enter the device, to be able to use the device, I don't have buttons. There are no buttons in the device. I have to do gestures. With this gesture, I will swipe up and I will reveal the content of what's running on the device. I've got the running apps here. As you can see, there are different apps. You can see some of the application thumbnail updating. That's the power of the platform. We give access to active cover, which is basically a component that developers can access and update and cover a specific application. In this case, the one that is updating like crazy is the Guardian. Application Guardian is an English newspaper, and they just update with the latest news and the photos from the latest news. And then you've got applications like Foursquare. I've got my Hello World sample that we will be using today. And then if I go in, it's quite simple. The projector is kind of cutting bit of it. but we will see how it works. And in order to go back to the previous screen, what I'm going to do is swipe up. As you notice, when I'm swiping up, the user still has visibility of the notifications. So here I've got one Twitter message that is on red, one LinkedIn message that is on red, and I've got another type of notification on red. What I can do is move with my thumb inside my inbox. And I'm not moving my finger from the screen, it's still here. If I'm interested in reading the message, I will complete the action. Otherwise, I will just release and I'll go back to the application. So this is the concept that we have introduced with BlackBerry 10. It's called BlackBerry Flow, because with a peak, I can get into the flow of the device and I can just keep on moving here. I can be anywhere in the menu, swipe up, and I can get into the hub. The hub is the place where all notifications, even from your application, go to. So if you have an application that gets updates, a push, or anything that needs to notify the user, you will put in there. And like development mode is enabled. That's an application, it's the core system that's telling me development mode was enabled. I tap on it, it tells me something I can open and go into the application itself, which in this case is the development mode that I was using. Any application can put notifications in the inbox, in the hub. We will play with notifications today, so you can see how you can add these. And there are other features that are really good from a consumer perspective, like the camera. If any of you has seen the camera, do you mind if I take a picture of you? No? So you were kind of smiling already. I'll take a better photo of you, and then let's see. Better focused. Who's this behind?
Does time shift for each
Here you
face?
So every face that's been recognized gets a time shift. And here I have a photo that is ready to be uploaded. What I can do, I'm still in the camera application. I tap the share button down there, and I can share with all the targets that I've got. What I can do, I can put it on Twitter from here. I won't put it on Twitter, don't worry. But if I go back to the home screen, as you can see, I've got Twitter here, but the application is camera because I've never left the camera. I'm doing the actions, and the actions keep me to the flow, keep me going, but I have never left the camera. So I can always do cancel, go back to the camera, go back to take pictures. Okay, so this is the experience that we want to recreate, and we will do that today with our little workshop. We will create an application that contains a card. A card element is just like the one that you saw with Twitter. The slides on top of your application give some kind of functionality, and you will be able to then share the photo that you take with someone, with the targets. I think we can move on.
I think so too. I think we might abandon the microphone at some point here. You need two hands to be able to code.
Plus, I'm Italian, so I use a lot of gestures.
And
It's difficult to hold the microphone at the same time.
You can leave open over the table.
Yeah, it's still there.
And I'm half deaf after the fireworks, so I talk loudly anyway. And what we're going to do now is just get you started by getting some sign-in keys. They can take a few minutes to come in, especially over the Wi-Fi. What I might suggest is that we have the first couple of rows go over the free Wi-Fi Kubi and apply for your sign-in keys. If you go to this URL right here,
bit.ly/home to sign in keys. You can apply for sign-in keys for BlackBerry Playbook or BlackBerry 10, and which is basically this checkbox here. Put in your details. There is one very important detail in the page, which is the PIN. There is a text field called PIN. Remember what PIN you are using, because you will need to use that later in order to register the keys. This is a mandatory step. If you want to put an application on a BlackBerry platform, you need to sign the application. It has to be signed. Okay? So if you want to follow along and be able to put the application on a BlackBerry later, because we've got a few BlackBerries here, for BlackBerry 10, you will have to request cold sign-in keys. Okay?
I think we might be able to do this all together because there aren't that many laptops. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, network down. Yeah, maybe if the first group of tables could try applying for the keys, get the form in, and then when you're done, a few minutes, we'll let the next ones start doing that.
So this set of keys will be used regardless of the technology you're using. Native web, I suspect when the titanium plugin is ready, you will still need these keys. So you can keep them, use them as many times as you want.
So has everybody got the URL? Because now we'd like to tell you a little bit about Webworks while we're waiting for the communication to go through.
bit.ly/cold signing keys. That's the link you need.
Everybody jot it down or enter it in the browser before I
Big
move
and
on?
fun. Yep.
Okay. So what is Webworks? Why aren't we, well, the reason we're not using titanium today, as you heard yesterday, is there isn't real good support yet. It's a very early version of the BlackBerry 10 plugin. But the good news is that in May or June timeframe, early this summer, we should have nearly 100% support for BB10. Nevertheless, it's good to understand where you look at the API docs and how to work with them. And since you all have good JavaScript skills already, why not just go directly into it?
So is anyone here able to tell me what the difference is between a mobile website and a web application? Okay, so you connect to the native layer. Is that what you're saying? Okay, that could be one option. But what about an application that looks hotels, for example? We don't have any connection to the native, but still a web application. It's a mobile website. So there is always this confusion, which is it's kind of interesting to understand where it sits. So an application is something that you package, but you could package a mobile website, for example, running on the device. You need to make the application look and feel like a native application, so the user doesn't feel like he's using a website. That's the key point here I take. The user has to feel like he's using an application that is a core application on the device that does something useful, and it's not just like opening the browser and just putting in a URL and opening the website. The Webworks platform, what it does, will take your assets, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images, videos, will package that in a wrapper, so we can say it like that. Let's call it a wrapper, which is a C++ interpretation layer between JavaScript and the native, so that you can get access to additional functionality. This additional functionality could be core things like the share functionality that you saw in my demo, could be camera, so you take a picture, take a video, could be notifications. So get the access to the layer that you were talking about, the native layer. And the power of this platform lays also on the fact that it's open source. So you can take the code, the open source code, and modify it and create also extensions. So you probably are familiar with extensions, plugins. That means that if there is something that doesn't exist, you can create it. We've got Marcus actually that created an extension for Webworks, and it's a UDP extension if I'm not mistaken. So he has done a workshop today, session about the drone, how to fly the drone. You've done it with titanium, right? Today? Yes. And he's done similar session at Jam Europe, but he created an extension to communicate via UDP over Wi-Fi to his drone, so he could fly that from a Webworks application. So literally, it's open. You can do whatever you like. If you want to integrate functionalities like I don't know, Bluetooth when the APIs are available, you can use Bluetooth as well. Okay. Yes. Quickly, why is the platform so powerful? We had our browser team working hard to make sure that it was compliant to the HTML5 standards. So we do support most of the HTML5 features. In fact, we are the platform that supports most of them. I would say that are the biggest number of features compared to other platforms. If you are familiar with the HTML5test.com, we currently score 485 out of 500. I will not mention any other platform right now, but I'll tell you to have a look online, HTML5test.com, compare BlackBerry 10 with other platforms, you will see the difference.
Y seguimos con esta.
Yes, so we do render WebGL quite well as well.
Ahora,
Another interesting functionality is when you're creating an application, it's also very nice to be able to test on a real device. But when you get the application on a real device, it's somehow difficult to do inspection of your code when something fails. So if you get an error, what is that? Well, you have to go step by step, line by line in your code, then modify something, repackage, put the application on the device, still not working. Okay, what's the problem right now? What you can do with a platform is to connect to the remote web inspector. If you compile the application with a bad code, the application, once it's on the device, will let you access the full console, the remote web inspector console, so you can inspect JavaScript, you can inspect the development, you can do code injection, you can do analysis of the performance of the application, which is always better when it's running on a real hardware on the device. We'll see it today though, we will do some documentation.
So that was what is WebWorks, and I wanted to just put a word in about why WebWorks. As most of you know, I wrote 2 Scoops, my app, that helps you find the best gelato in London, Paris, Rome, and New York. First as a portfolio piece, and then as a real app, selling in the iOS App Store. And I can speak from experience that when I was working in Titanium, you know, to have a cross-platform API and framework, where here in this diagram, which I also drew for Accelerator, you put your JavaScript and your HTML and your CSS in, and you push a button, and magically something happens where you can, you know, the dream is to publish, write once, publish everywhere. It's really write once, adapt everywhere. But with something that powerful, I equate it to flying a fighter jet, as opposed to maybe driving a Porsche down the road. You really need special licensing. And I'm not sure what happens in between. Some sort of secret incantation takes place, and up pops the package, and you can magically publish. And by the way, you've got to be connected to the web for all of this to work, or you really can't use Titanium at all. And WebWorks is not like that. WebWorks is really easy. If I can do this, certainly with your background, you can pick it up right away and begin extending it. And it's so lightweight and easy to use that, in fact, this is actual code from my current version of 2 Scoops for BB10. And what I'm doing is something really cool, which is why I wanted Luca to actually demo the real working device. There's a lot to do with cards invoking the functionality of other applications. And these are intents in Android parlance. And these are custom URLs in iOS, which I also use. And I've done everything I did with many more lines of code. Right here where the arrow is, in about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I'm calling BBM and I'm pre-populating with a message that I want to send to a friend. So technically, you can be eating an ice cream with one hand and be tweeting or BBMing with the other. And it was really, really fast to get my app ported over to BB10. And of course, that means shorter time to market, and that means quicker sales. So that's why WebWorks, and that's why I'm so passionate about this framework.
Ripple Emulator is something we will be using today. Have you ever used Ripple Emulator before, apart from you? Okay, a few people, cool. The power of Ripple Emulator lays in the fact that you can test on multiple platforms at the same time. tiConf is a company we acquired, Blackberry acquired some time ago, and they were creating a really good plugin for Chrome to just test your mobile application in a scheme that was the actual device. But it's not just the scheme giving you the exact number of pixels. It gives you access to the APIs that you wouldn't normally have access to unless you have the application on the device. So things like accelerometer, things like network, you can test all that in the browser itself. And you can do that for BlackBerry, you can do that for other devices as well. If you were to use Vodka, I assume you won't because titanium, so it doesn't apply here really. But at least you can have the right resolution and the right look and feel of the device in the browser without having to package the application. We will use these thoroughly, so there is no need to just go over it.
And this is the Ripple Hippo.
Yes.
This is why he appears everywhere. We see a lot of him.
And yeah, if you have tried to do do any BlackBerry development before, and if you look at the BlackBerry development now, you will notice a big difference, which is we are really open and we tell people what's happening and what's coming up. In fact, we have on the website roadmap. These are rival board with all the functionality that we are including in the next release, so you know what to expect rather than figuring out with the release notes when to release the product.
And there's also a wonderful community here as well. So you can watch the GitHub repos. I've even contributed in a couple of instances, and you get feedback, a quick network to other developers using the same technologies. They've got a good jQuery mobile repo, which is what we're going to be using today. I've used BBUI.js, and that was fun. That's sort of a playground for Tim Neal and BlackBerry. And there's assets in here. It's really a very supportive, very helpful, and very rich community. The sample apps are terrific. Samples I'm finding are well documented, and it's not just a matter of copy and paste. You understand what you're using, and they draw up those key features like BB10. If you're not quite sure how to get that going, you have a full sample that will show you how to authenticate and how to use it.
Yeah, if you are geeky enough, it's probably as geeky as me, you would like to have a look at the source code, you will have a look at how the platform is created. There is Webworks packager, the source code of the Webworks packager is online on our GitHub. There is a source code of, I think, Repol and a few other things, so you can just play with it.
I guess I've become geeky because I'm modifying the CSS and, bending the CSS to my will. Tools and setup. Okay, here's where we're starting to go hands-on. So now we're going to get busy.
Okay. First of all, you all have Chrome browser, I assume. Hands up if you don't.
And you all have Macs? Is it all Mac?
Is it possible to install it quickly because we will be using Chrome today?
Yeah. Also, we want you to bookmark this website because this is actually where it all starts. You can use a wide variety of technologies for BlackBerry development. So really, if you want to start at the very root, it's developer.blackberry.com. But today we're doing Webworks, and that's all after /HTML5. And I want to point out that when you come here, and we're going to use this now, we're going to go to the download section and we're going to get a couple of things installed. You have your sample apps, which we'll review for another time. You've got documentation, you've got your API reference. So this is kind of an important landing page.
Okay, you don't need to download any tool because it's all already in the USB key. So we'll go through the setup from the USB key material that I gave you. Has everyone got the USB key material? Yes? All confidential?
Yep, very good.
Now, there should be a file called repol_ui.crx in your USB key. If you open Chrome, click on the three stripes on the right, Tools, Extensions, so open the Extensions page and drag and drop that file in. You need a key.
Rather than exporting every single layer one by hand, you push the button on the script and it exports them all into separate PNG files to the optimization you asked for by itself. So there's automation in there, and that's what I wanted to tell you about that. There's a sample from the settings. Another thing that's really cool, and developers ask me about this all the time, is that once you've used one of those automated scripts or you've finished your coding, you probably forgot to optimize your images. And what you do, you take this tool, again, put it in the Pixel Precision Handbook from us too. You go and get this free tool called Image Optim, and you drag your whole folder of PNGs onto it, and in my experience, it saves you between 50 and 60% of your file size. So that's a good one. Moving right along now on enhancing that basic index file is Luca.
Now it's all hands-on, guys. So if you can follow along, if you have problems, wave at me. I'm going to do some coding, and we are going to transform the hello world start into what is the hello world done. I have put that final exercise completed in your USB key, but I want you to ignore that bit for now and just try to follow along. If you can't, just copy and paste, okay?
Or raise your hand and I will try to help you.
Nah, copy and paste. Now, what we need to do is to give our Hello World application a BlackBerry 10 look and feel. How we do this? We need to include the BlackBerry 10 theme of jQuery mobile. Okay? You have two files operating the directory for Hello World Start. One is jqm.css, one is jqm.js. You are all experienced JavaScript developers, so I will not be telling you where to put CSS and JS files in an HTML file. So I will start with my rel equal to CSS file, which I am kind of lazy, and I'll be just copying here. Okay. Oh, so they have me copying. So I'll do it like this then. See? Oh, and I'm putting these in the wrong place. Starship and href. Now here is where I have to put it. And this is the CSS. And then we do the same with the JS file. Source. And I'll just paste these and change the extension to JS. And if you want to untype as well, you can next JavaScript. Okay, we have included these two files, style sheet and the JS file. What we're going to do now is to create the main structure for a jQuery. Can you all see with the white background, by the way? Can we bump up the... Yes, I was about to do that, font. Oh, I can do this with the plus. Like this. Maybe like this. Is it better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so let's create a main structure for a jQuery mobile application, which applies on any platform, okay, regardless of the platform. We create a div. The main thing you can do on mobile is data role, which is the parameters that basically tells you what that specific div snippet is. In our case, this will be the page, and we close this div. Inside the page, you can have header, the content, and the footer. So we are going to create that as well. Div data role header, and we will trap our hello world inside the header. So we will do this. Okay, so now hello world is inside the header. Then we will do div data role content. And I will say that's it. What we do now, we go back to our project and refresh. And let me maximize these. And maybe not maximize, but increase the size. Which I can't do. So
Can you do command minus and reduce the size of the whole image?
like this. Okay. You have a black background here in the header. You have nothing at the bottom. So the black background is already on BlackBerry 10 UI guidelines. You haven't specified the color black. You just have put header item. The header item will be automatically styled. What we're going to do now, we're going to create the last item, which is the footer.
Déjala como está. Sí, sí.
And if you refresh now, so footer, just insert the footer just after the content. If you refresh now, nothing happens because of the footer. live coding. It should show. Oh, right. So I put a footer, but I didn't put the action bar. Fair enough. We have an element which is BlackBerry 10 element, and it's called data called action bar, which is what you will see, and it lays inside the footer. So if I refresh now, here you go, the action bar. And this is, as you can see, there is a gradient there. We'll just print out console.log success and function on invoke failure. We print out console.error failure. Okay? Now, we need to modify the config.xml because the application needs to know that we want access to the camera. In order to do this, we just need to specify that we need a BlackBerry.invoke functionality. So, if you open your config.xml in the hello world down, you can actually see you can see that there is a feature ID, BlackBerry.invoke. That's when we need the camera. So if you just copy that to your current config.xml, it has to be a child of widget. Just feature ID, BlackBerry.invoke. Okay? So we've got our button B1, which is being mapped to the function BlackBerry invoke, invoking the camera card, and we have two callbacks. Let's see, it might not work. That's error. Oh, you spotted it before. Yeah? No, click is fine. Using jQuery mobile, so I'm just mapping to the click event. Here, you mean? Yes. No, yeah, so I'm bringing up. No, which is fine as well. Before here. Okay. Now you guys are making because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I put the dot click in the wrong way. So, okay, now I understand that's what you're saying. Sorry. Yeah, no, don't mind. No, I wanted to do dot click here. Yes, sorry, no, you're completely right. You're completely right. I was just being a bit, function, yeah, so should be fine. Sorry, I didn't get what you were saying. I thought you wanted me to tweak the on there.
Yeah, I think that you have
Okay. Now, click camera. Obviously, Report can't open the camera for you, hence why you need a real device. But it's telling you you're trying to open the camera, which is fine. Now, how many of you have received the keys? This is going to be painful. You have? I'll show you if you can do it. There is a command line tool to install the keys.
This is a little painful,
It's painful, it's just one-off that you have to do it.
and it's worth it. Because after that,
Yes. So, if you go into the directory of your SDK, the dependencies tools bin with a terminal. This has to be done by a terminal. There is a command called BlackBerry Signer, register, CSJ pin. This pin is the one that you use online. Store pass is the password that you will be using from now on to sign BlackBerry applications. Every time you sign an application, you will use this password, and then you need the two CSJ files. Okay? This is available under documentation, publishing, and signing your application. We are running a bit behind, so I will skip these. I will just show you how it works in repo, and then you set up the keys on your own. Okay? So if I open repo, I've got a menu here, which is package and sign. Now I'm going to be using Liz's key. Your application gets accepted even if you don't follow the URL guidelines. However, there are some marketing campaigns that we're doing, some programs called for BlackBerry that requires you to follow the UI guidelines if you want to be accepted. Being built for BlackBerry means that in the store you will have higher visibility, you will have a special badge saying that your application is a quality application, and in the search also you will be right at the top. And marketing campaigns will be done against all these applications that are built for BlackBerry. If you port an Android application, obviously you will not have the BlackBerry's UI in there. It will more or less look like an Android application running from BlackBerry. So it will be accepted, but it's not entitled to enter the build for BlackBerry program.
yeah. And it's not a good customer experience because you get used to swipe up from the bottom so easily that I'm doing it to my iPhone. And so you don't want to inject Android experience into BB10. It's not what the customer is expecting. There's one more thing I want to add to that.
Not the problem. It was only bought Carol and only bought 30.
Okay. Got a few feathers there.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that BlackBerry are exceptionally good with development programs as well. And so I really would resist kind of going against the grain as the easy route, but I would caution you against it. So I started porting 2 Scoops as an iOS app, and I put all my buttons at the bottom. And then I noticed the style guide, and as a designer, of course, I couldn't go against it once I knew, right? But by playing along, my point is, by going along, you learn a lot. When you conform, along the way, BB10 is brand new, and so are some of the development programs we just heard about in Jan Europe. One of them is also called BlackBerry Builders. Right now, I'm part of a group called the Elites. It doesn't mean that we fly first class or anything, but we sort of do in BlackBerry world. So what that means is that when the Q10 is available, we get the first testing devices. You have to show that okay, you're working on an application that is going to be specifically tailored to the Q10 experience, right? The QWERTY keyboard. But that's really all you have to do in order to get that device. So I recommend that you go along with the UI and make the extra effort because you're rewarded in spades for that.
Yeah, I happen to have a copy of these groups. I just want to show you a few things that actually he's got really right. You see the UI guidelines with the bar at the bottom. If I tap on any of these, I was cutting it off. But there are things like share. If I tap on share, you've got an extra menu coming up from the right.
Contest.
And I can tap and share against my contacts, so it's deeply integrated. That's how we give the quality badge.
Hopefully, yes. It's being evaluated right now.
Any other question? Yes?
What about
WebSockets? Absolutely. So WebSockets. Actually, at Gem Europe, I have done a session with one of my colleagues, and we created an application. It was a hybrid application so written in native with web view and Node.js web server that was really simple. And two clients, so people can connect to the client. And it was a game, so you can press push button, and in the game you could actually see. And that was entirely done with web sockets. So we use socket.io and yes.
What's the performance difference between native and
Good question. So architectural is the answer really here, because native is obviously compiled and web is interpreted at runtime. So every time you put something interpreted at runtime, it will always be slightly slower. However, I have seen native applications that behave worse than web applications, and I have seen web applications that behave almost the same as native applications. I don't think they can ever get better than native applications because of the difference in architecture, but that's just my opinion. In speed, and as you can see from the application list made, it's pretty much the same. Yeah, HTML canvas. There are a few people who create, might have a game in HTML canvas, and they go, I think 55 frames per second. It was quite good. It's fast and very responsive. Personal experience, no, I help people do that. Yes, help people do that. And it does work, it works really well. And some people tend to, so there were some legacy games that were running some components in Flash and some components in HTML5. And they were able to do that as well because we use it on Flash. The only thing is that you need to specify the config XML, enable Flash, and it will run the Flash inside the application. So by default it's turned off because it takes some memory as well. But if you want to use it,
That was pretty much the Blitz tour
Yeah.
of Webworks. I didn't realize, you get fluent in this and you're doing Command R. Our time is just about up, and I want to ask, how should we handle, we have one more session after this, how should we handle?
yeah, if you guys, unfortunately we didn't get to give you some test devices so you can compile and so if you want to try, we will be out there, you can come over, you can talk to us if you have any specific requirements, if you are thinking you have an HTML5 application that you want to talk to me, and I've got some device availability I can look into. It's alone even because the device is time-bound, so the end of April will not be usable anymore. But that's because you need something to test applications with, not new gadgets to make phone calls and messages. So there are test devices that are fully functional, you can make phone calls and everything. Clearly, I'm giving it out for applications.
Okay, so we'll handle that out
Yeah,
loud,
outside, yeah.
and I'll let you take the great big box. And if are there any final questions, anything else? If not, I want to take this opportunity to thank Boyd Lee and tiConf for inviting us here today, and